All right.
We just make this shit look good.
Yo,
Check 1
I
2.
made this shit look good, like it was too easy. I never skip practice. I'm training all 4 seasons. I carry my bloodline. I got about 4 reasons. I buried my loved ones. My heart was heavy. See, I was grieving and I believe in my dreams till they pass. Tough people do not see it's truth. Tough times didn't last. Wanna know my secret? I had to get it and get up off my ass. I bet on me. I regained focus on a 40-day fast. I took another man's trash and I made treasure out of it. I'm not upset about it. I'm not gonna stress about it. Bullshit get left about it. You bring that sucker shit to my door, you get stressed about it. Yeah, I feel lonely, I'm up at the top, it's never crowded.
I got up off my ass and faced my demons. I got up in my bag and I won't leave that. I'm gonna get this shit my last and I swear to God I mean that. Ain't no days off, I've been working all season. I got up off my ass and faced my demons. I got up in my bag and I won't leave that. I'm gonna get this shit my last and I swear to God
Like an
I
actual
mean that. Ain't no days off, I've been working
The video,
all
that like
season.
actual live stream.
See, learn to love the hate.
We can watch it.
Allergic to the love. Homemade pigs in the blanket.
That's the
Now
switch
wrestle with
screens.
the
How
pigs
do I
in the
make it
mud.
look
Middle
live?
finger to the pigs
Alright,
in the
so when
jug.
you get
Work
in
kids
there.
cop beans from the plug. Got clean tucker rubber dub. Hands dirty, I can still
Don't worry
see
about
the
it.
blood.
I asked him.
Got up on my ass, dope fiends for alarm clocks. We was serving nicks, point for point, John Stocks. Bullets miss me, mama on her knees, her and God talk. Hit the block with work every day, never called
Which one?
out.
Where?
Ain't no way in his eyes, I told him we gon' skyrock. You looking at a nigga out the bleachers to
There
the
you go.
skybox. Got up on
Alright.
my ass, it was bricks
Got it.
or a man.
That's good watch.
Richmond, Mount Rushmore, I
No, go
gave the
back.
game my
I got up on my
last.
ass and faced
Oh, you
my
can minimize
demons. I got up in my bag and I won't leave
I got it. I see it.
I'm gonna get this shit my last and I swear to God I mean that. Ain't no days off, I've been working all season. I got up off my ass and faced my demons. I got up in my bag and I won't leave that. I'm gonna get this shit my last and I swear to God I mean that. Ain't no days off, I've been working all season.
All gas, no brakes. See me speak to my fake cars, far where they make.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All gas, no brakes.
All right. Welcome to Control the Narrative, the space where intellectuals, professionals, and creatives converse. Powered by WRBX, RVA Boombox, and the Purpose Network, y'all. I'm your host, Sir Bey, author of Your Gift, Your Passion, Your Purpose. Why control the narrative? Because if you don't control the narrative, somebody else will. Right? Who better to tell your story than you? That's why I control the narrative. You know, a lot of people ask, why control the narrative? Because the narrative is so important. You know, I mean, the pen is mightier than the sword, as they say. All right? So, you know, we're a topic-based platform. And today's topic, we're talking 50 years of hip-hop, right? Is rap music on a permanent decline? That's the headline. That's the topic. And that's what we're going to be getting into tonight. You know what I mean? So thank you for joining us. Man, we're back. This is season 2 of Control the Narrative. You know, season 1, we filmed independently, but now we got an official home. So now we tapping in, getting the levels right, making sure everything is kosher. Man, I want to shout out my man B. Brandon for giving us this beautiful space. You know, everything is lovely. Got the aesthetics right in here, man, in the heart of RVA. So be sure to tap in. Just bear with me one moment, y'all, while I get this together. Okay, here we go. How do I get that screen to come back like that? How do I minimize it? All right, stay right here. All right, there we go. Yeah, y'all see the camera? See the camera work? Let me switch it on y'all. Let me switch it. Why I ain't switch over? There it go. All right, there we go. All right, yeah, 50 years of hip hop, y'all. We talking 50 years of hip hop. Is hip hop or rap music on a permanent decline? That's tonight's topic. And, you know, it's a powerful build. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you've been on the internet or if you've just been watching TV or documentaries, everybody's talking about 50 years of hip hop. Why 50 years of hip hop? Well, you know, to start off, 50, let's start with the mathematics. Let's start with the science. The number five, in numerical studies, 5 represents freedom, 5 represents change, 5 represents justice, amongst other things, And here in 2023, hip hop, rap music is definitely in need of change. We're in need of justice, right? So, it's the math, the universe is mathematical, right? So, being able to look back and from an introspective standpoint, from a hindsight standpoint, because a lot of us have grown up with hip hop culture. A lot of the culture that a lot of you are dabbling in now and experiencing now, a lot of us are the curators and architects and influencers. So tonight we're going to be talking about the inception of hip hop and how hip hop came about. KRS-One told us, what was the year? Let me get, because we about them facts. Shout out to Brother Red Pillar. We about them facts. The facts initiatives. So we're going to get the pads out and get the timelines right for y'all. But 1989, KRS-One, he told us, we're headed for self-destruction. Self-destruction. We're headed for self-destruction. Self-destruction. You're headed for self-destruction. Wow. All right, so let's get to the narrative first, right? Let's get to the subject matter of hip hop. What is hip hop? How did it start? Because obviously we have young viewers, we have OGs, we have veterans, we got a lot of young viewers. People are here to learn. You're tapping into Control the Narrative because you want to learn. So let's go ahead and get the narrative of hip hop and how hip hop started, right? So hip hop emerged from the conditions of the inner city. In the streets, which was and still is in peril due to corruption, manipulation, and other variables within local, state, and federal government, within community-based programs, within households and families, etc. Right? And you have to really consider the conditions that hip-hop were birthed from. You have to really, I'm a curious brother, what I'm saying? It may be the Gemini in me, but I'm very curious. I'm like, how did things start? How did they begin? And when you start to do your research and your study, and hip-hop was birthed in the Bronx of New York, right? And the Bronx at that time looked like a whole different world. It looked like a war-torn world. I don't like saying third world country and all that. No, it just looked like a war-torn environment at that time. But from the fire, the brimstone, the ash, emerged this poetry, this expression, this sonic boom, right? That eventually took the world by storm, right? So, hip hop emerges from these conditions, but you have to ask yourself, how did these conditions become to be in the first place? Right? And it comes from a lot of different influences. It comes from the influence from drug dealers, from hustlers, from designers, from stick-up kids, from the mob, from COINTELPRO, from the CIA, from the FBI, from local police, from the kids making dances in the street. All of these ingredients, all of these elements are simmering in this pot, right? Boiling up, ready to express itself once that ringer goes off, right? So hip hop emerges, right? And from that amalgamation, the elements were mastered and presented by the forefathers of hip hop. You have DJ Kool Herc, right? Who in the park is actually really the inventor or the creator of the merry-go-round, the two turntables, the two turntables going, you know what I'm saying? Before Kool Herc, you probably never would see two turntables, right? So he's the inventor, or at least he coined it during that era, right? Then you have a Grandmaster Flash, right? Who's a literal scientist. He's literally a scientist. Grandmaster Flash creates the marking technique where you can actually mark the break beat on the record, right? And you can preview it before it actually plays, right? So he's in his headphones like a scientist, orchestrating the play before he hits that next button, right? And then there was a younger brother, by the name of Kaz, who invented scratching. The chicka 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 chicka. So you take those three techniques, right? Those three perspectives, those three elements, and merge them together in the same pot with all those other elements, and then boom. Now the parties are lit, the clubs are lit, the underground spots are lit with this new sonic vibration and this new sonic sound, called hip hop or rap. And before we even get into the deep context, we have to distinguish what is hip hop and what is rap, right? Hip hop, for the youngsters, hip hop is the culture, the breaking, the graffiti, the MCing, the fashion, the slang, the lingo, the rap, right? Rap is the sport, though. Rap is a luxury sport. Rap is the sport birthed out of hip hop. So during this conversation tonight, I want you, family, to keep that in mind, when we're speaking, because they're synonymous. They go together, but they also have their own vibration and energy as well. And that's a very important key, right? So, so now we have break beats. Now we have something to rap on, right? Now you got to take it to the next level, right? Now you have to incorporate the producers, the engineers, right? Who can actually take these sonics, take these sounds, and put them into the system and create a record, right? From there, you have the creation of one of the first official rap records, Rapper's Delight, right? And what's the timeline on Rapper's Delight? Let's see here. 1979. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead to your business, bro. You good. I don't need you. Yeah, family, we good. Yeah, I got you, bro. Yeah, that's my special guest. This is the first episode of Control the Narrative, y'all. Thank you for joining us tonight. Again, we're setting up, man, but this is live, and we appreciate y'all for being with us tonight, man, because you're going to get this education, this edutainment, and this information, So, look, let's get back to the timelines, y'all. So, 1979, the Sugar Hill Gang's 12-inch single, Rapper's Delight, released, right? It's the first rap song to be played on the radio. Like, coming up in from that point up until maybe to the internet era, being on the radio was everything. Having your song played on the radio was everything. So 1979, we got it. Rapper's Delight premieres on the radio station, right? And, the artist who was featured in that record, Big Bank Hank, who was actually added to the Sugar Hill Gang, right? He used Grandmaster Caz's lyrics and rapped it as it was his own verse, right? So in 1979, we had the first ghostwriter. The first ghostwriter in hip hop was 1979. Really, from its beginning, from its inception, you already have ghostwriting, and you have the music industry, the actual music industry involved. When you're talking about radio stations, spins, and eventually leading to record deals, right? So 1982, The Message, right? The Message, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, right? The Message, The Conditions of the Streets, right? Actually, I was born in 1982, right? Gemini, I'm a messenger, right? So The Messenger was born the year of The Message, right? And that was basically highlighting the conditions of the inner city, of their environment, of what was going on, So again, we're just going down the timeline to give those who may not know the inception or early days of hip hop, because if you say you're about hip hop, you love hip hop, or if you're a hip hop artist, you should know the foundation or be curious about the foundation or of how it started, right? That way you can be the best version of it during your time, right? Because you have a solid foundation, right? All right, so, and then we go into the golden era, right? And there's countless artists and producers and engineers and DJs that we can name. We'd be here for hours if we name. So it's salute to all the integral MCs, all the integral artists, all the integral rappers, all the integral producers, engineers, DJs, right? Salute. But the golden era, let's say the golden era was 1987, 88, 89 to about 2000, 2001, 2002-ish. So I say it's like 12, 13 years. That would be considered the golden era, right? You go from the golden era to the hip hop pop era. Hip hop really goes pop after the golden era. It's about record sales. It's about big videos. It's about driving the sales, right? So let's say, 2000 to maybe 2007, 2008 was the hip hop pop era, right? And I would also include that as being the Southern rise as well, because I say like 99, 98, 2000, the South just rises and takes over, right? And then from there, it's pretty much the internet era. You know what I mean? Like 2008, from there is the internet. It was all about the internet. YouTube, MySpace, Black Planet, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now TikTok, now Threads, whatever. Right? Now, I also want to mark this as well because in 2017, on record, hip hop surpassed rock and roll music as America's #1 stream genre for the first time in history, right? In recorded history, as far as our generation is concerned. So 2017, hip hop surpassed rock music as America's #1 stream music. So this is 2017. Right now we're in 2023. So let's do some science. Like when a star is about to die, it burns its brightest, right? It burns its brightest before it's about to die and fade out, right? So 2017 is the white hot star moment for hip hop. I think Jay-Z was talking about this white hot space where you're an artist, you come in the game, you're hungry, he goes through the whole process. But then you get to this white hot space where you can do no wrong and you shine your brightest. And then from there, that's kind of the climax period. And from there, you got to kind of fizzle out. You're going to fizzle out. It's kind of like a natural process. You can't even stop it, really, right? So that's where we're at with hip hop or rap, especially. It's the fizzle out from the climax of the movie, right? It doesn't mean it's over because even in the transcendence, the evolution, or the death, if you want to call it that, you have what we would call the Phoenix moment, where the Phoenix dies and becomes anew and renews itself and arises new out of the ashes. So that's what we're witnessing now. We're witnessing rap culture, hip hop culture, street culture, art culture go through a almost like a death. It has to go through this death so it can transform. And look, it's all math because it goes back to the basics. Hip hop rap is going back to the basics if you're really paying attention, right? Like, you're seeing more graffiti more than ever in a lot of these urban environments, and just period. People who are artistic and creative spaces are creating creative spaces, more art and graffiti everywhere. They're even allotting spaces for it. It's beautiful. Right now you're having to dig through the crates for music now. There's so much music out there that you actually have to dig and curate and know how to search now, right? And have specific taste and so on and so forth. So that's the modern day digital era of digging in the crates, right? Artists are helping each other and collaborating and doing independent ventures more and more. This is how this thing started in the first place, right? So we're back to the basics, man. And I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight on Control the Narrative. Again, I'm your host, Sir Bey. We're going to be getting into the dialogue, man. The topic is 50 years of hip hop. Is rap music on a permanent decline? This is a heavy question, and there's no right or wrong answer. I just pose these questions because I'm curious on people's opinions and perspectives. And as far as this show is concerned, we bring professionals, people who have experiential advice in the actual the subject or topic matter at hand. And tonight, he's already sitting by me. You see him zipping in and out, back and forth with me here. My brethren, we have a special guest tonight, man. I mean, what more can I say about this brother? Let me start like this. I met this brother in Richmond. I'm an artist, a creative, a CEO. I'm many things, many names, many titles. But on my rap grind, on my artist grind, on my label grind, I used to hop up to Richmond, coming from Hopewell. Shout out to Hopewell, Dopewell City. and passing out my CDs, passing out my flyers. This is the out the trunk era. You know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all youngsters don't realize we used to have to drive around with CDs and flyers and DVDs in our trunk, city to city, gas station to gas station, car wash to car wash, pop that trunk open and selling these CDs and these combo backs, 3 for 15 or 3 for 20, 3 for 25, whatever your numbers was. So I'm heading to Richmond. And every time I'm in Richmond, if I don't see a flyer, I'm seeing this brother. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, wow, I'm seeing the covers. The artwork is professional. I'm seeing the CD. The CD got his name on it. I said, man, this is professional. This is tight. You pop the music in. It's crisp. It's official. The music is hitting. I said, okay, I respect this. This brother got something really going on. I'm going to follow this. I'm going to see what's going on. Do my research. I'm going to stay tapped in. So just, real ones going to link. It's frequency. We talk about frequency. People say frequency and they start thinking spirituality. Frequency means what you do frequently. Whatever you do frequently is going to be your frequency, right? So if you're doing 1,000 push-ups a day, 100 push-ups a day, that's what you're doing frequently. That's your frequency. Right? Your frequency ties into your vibration, which ties into the reality and the people that you meet, so on and so forth, the synchronicities. So everywhere I go, this brother would be there. You know what I'm saying? Any popping spot where you were supposed to be, he was there. So, we talking in the parking lot, chopping it up here and there every once in a while. And eventually we start linking up. I get, fully aware of his campaign and his movement and what he stand on and what he stand for, vice versa for him. And man, I mean, time you blink your eyes and it's 15, 20 years later, man. And brothers have created businesses. Brothers have, curated a whole culture for the Mid-Atlantic area. He started local and then he grew regionally. And now, he's grown regionally to the global stage, right? So, he has, countless projects. His discography is amazing. We're going to get into his new project. We're going to get into his perspective on hip hop, where he was when he first heard hip hop, what his experience was about, and get his, his opinion, his professional opinion on this thing, man. I want to introduce and thank you and welcome Charged Up Noah-O. Peace, brethren. Peace, brethren. If I had the sound effects, I hit the button there. That'll be coming later. That'll be coming later. You know how we do, man. One thing about this grind, this hustle, you know what I'm saying, and just like going all in and believing in yourself and being a boss, man. You already know how it go, bro. Like you learn as you go. We was just joking earlier, saying an entrepreneur is somebody who jumps out of a plane. This is a quote, but you jump out of a plane and you create a parachute in midair. Figure it out while you in the air before you gotta land. And you one of them brothers, man. I've seen you just create, level up, boss up, expand your brand, your business, your music, the growth through your music. Man, welcome to Control the Narrative, man. We got a lot to talk about tonight. But before we get into anything, I want your experience, your truthful experience on hip hop. What was your first hip hop experience? Like, yo, what is this and who is that? And and just how did that open up for you? What was your first hip hop experience, bro?
Man, one of my earliest experiences, my parents used to go to this summer camp. They would take us to this camp in up in Yosemite, which is like in Northern California. It's a national park. It's real beautiful. So a lot of people from the Bay Area and from the inner city, they would sign up to go to these camps out in the middle of the mountains. It's real beautiful up there. It's waterfalls, all types of stuff that you don't see in the city,
Right.
So I believe my earliest experience was when I was like 5 years old. My parents put me in like at this camp, they would have like a talent show. You'd stay at the camp for a week and then there'd be like a talent show. Everybody at the camp would come and they put me in the talent show with my parents' friends would go as well. And they had a son that was about my same age. So they put us in the talent show and had us do as the Fat Boys.
Ah,
Fat
that's
Boys.
crazy.
Anybody don't know, the Fat Boys were like a hip hop group in the 80s. You know, they were bigger. So that was their thing, 3 big dudes. And they had a song called Wipeout. And I remember like they were like, we're going to put y'all on this town show, put the starter jacket on. And then we stuck like pillows
Starter
underneath.
era. What y'all know about it, bro?
Put pillows underneath our jackets and then, you know, got up there and like lip sync the words. So for real, that was probably my earliest experience. Like,
Wow.
and I don't even think, I just knew it was music. I don't even know, like, I don't remember when it started clicking, like, okay, what is this? But it was cool to me. Like, I had an older cousin. He grew up and my parents had custody of him. So he kind of grew up as like my older brother.
Wow.
And so some of my earliest experiences were like when he wasn't home or when he was home, I'd go in his room and he'd be listening to tapes. So I remember like some of my other earliest memories were like he'd be listening to NWA and Eazy-E. And I remember he had both.
Easy.
Yeah, he had both tapes. And like at the time, I think Eazy-E, I think they were teenagers when they came out. And I remember him, you know, telling me like, you know, these guys are from LA and this is Eazy-E. Eazy-E was like the first one that came out with a solo album.
Yo, for the record, Eazy-E was like the first quote unquote street hustler or dope boy, as we say.
Yeah.
You know, he was the first dope boy to take his street money and invest it into his own label. Like he on record, he was the first one, yo.
Yeah.
Rising Purpose, Eazy-E, yo.
Yeah, he had Eazy-E had Ruthless Records. So you think about it, you know, this is a young guy. He probably wasn't no older than 21, you know.
Hell yeah.
And he put his own bread up. So I remember my cousin was telling me like, yeah, this guy, I think at the time he might have been 18. So that was like crazy to me. I'm listening to him tell me this and I would, you know, be in his room listening to the tapes.
Wow.
And I just remember like staring at the cover and I, you know, just like looking at them. They were from LA. They kind of, you know, dressed like LA cats wearing like, you know, Dickies or Ben Davis, like workwear, just the whole NWA dress code. And, you know, I just was fascinated with it because it was just like, it was like the same things that I was seeing outside when I would grow up in California. My dad, he had a business at the time in a part of San Francisco named the Bayview.
Ah, that's slick.
Yeah, and the Bayview was like, it was like a well-known, you know, like inner city area of San Francisco area called Hunters Point. So I spent a lot of time over there too. So me seeing these tapes and then, you know, when I'd be out as a little kid just in the neighborhood, those were the same things I was seeing. And then I think from there, I definitely remember my cousin also listening to Too Short.
Right.
And that
legend.
Yeah, that really hit home too, because to anybody who's watching this, you know, you may not know me or know my history. I represent Richmond, Virginia. I've grown up here as well as the San Francisco Bay Area. So Too Short at the time, Too Short was a teenager as well, and he was from Oakland. So to see, you know, cassettes, I'm seeing these tapes, these physical things in my hand, and then I'm hearing, you know, from my cousin where these guys were from. And this was somewhere I had been, you know, somewhere I could see outside of my house. And it just like, I don't know. I was just, I think I was just like captivated by it. Like,
hell yeah, bro.
these
You
guys made their own
smack
tape.
dab in the middle of it. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like you smack dab in the middle of West Coast culture, Bay culture.
While
the
it's
culture,
taking shape. You know what I mean?
Come on, man. And that culture has influenced the world.
Yeah,
I mean, like
definitely.
people are emulating and connected and resonated and taking on that whole culture in parts of the world that are nowhere near California.
Exactly. So at that time, those were like my earliest memories. I'm living in California. I'm seeing these artists, people like E40 as well. And I'm seeing their tapes. I'm seeing it at the corner store. I'm seeing it in my cousin's room. I would walk down to the flea market that was down the street from my house. And I see these cassette tapes. I would walk to the flea market as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had to pay like 99 cents or 50 cents to get in. And it was like in California, they would have these flea markets. At nighttime, they would be driving movie theaters, but to make money during the weekend, the owners would have them as flea markets, so you could just walk, pay whatever.
Right.
And yeah, it would be tape vendors. People had their tables out there selling like clothes, whatever. But there would be these guys selling cassettes, like $7 a piece or 2 for 10, or maybe you could get them to sell them 3 for 10.
Nah, my bad. Oh, hold on. Let me make sure we record. I want to make sure we still good, family. Hey, look, like I said, it's episode 1. We got to make sure. Are we good? But this thing froze, you know what I'm saying? Just making sure the people can still view us. Okay, you live now. All right, we good. All right. Yeah, we getting Noah-O's hip-hop story. Control the narrative. Hey, family, you asked for it. Y'all asked for it. Y'all said, y'all was like, where the podcast? Where the show? When you going to do that? When you going to do it again? I'm like, bro, do you understand the work that it takes to put together a show? Do you know you got to film it? You got to edit it. You gotta, get the guests situated. There's a lot that goes into it. So, I can't be a one-man show in that regard. But no, I just want to shout out my man B, Brandon. One thing about it, man, you gotta respect the boss who works like he's an entry worker. You understand what I'm saying? This man pays the bills, keep the lights on, sweeps the floor, and does the logistics for the tech. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Throws
Salute
the
the
trash.
B, man. RVA boombox, man.
Yeah, fill the coolers, kiss the baby, shakes the hands.
We got a home, y'all.
Hey, but there's people that help you out there.
No doubt. Shout out to the whole team, man.
Yeah, shout out Red Cup.
Yeah, so we talking Noah's hip hop experience. You know what's crazy? You said the Fat Boys, man. That was one of my first tapes I had. That was one of the first groups. I remember they had a movie, Disorderlies.
Yeah.
Remember Disorderlies?
So that was the thing too. Like I remember, in addition to doing the talent show, my parents took me to see it. Like,
wow.
Yeah, because
that's amazing, bro.
Going back to my story, like my cousin, I had a cousin. He was 7 years older than me, so I was 5 years old. He was 12, or you know what I mean?
Right.
So I was 7. He was 14. So whatever he was into, that's what I thought was cool. So he'd ask my parents, like, can they take us to the movies to see Fat Boys? So we went and seen it.
Youngsters, go watch Disorderly. That'll catch you up. Like they had to play like these fake Disorderlies for this elderly community. Yeah, it's a dope movie, man. And that's hip hop, man. Like hip hop is integrated into family. It's integrated to entertainment. It's basically like the vibe of the moment, the bop of the time. Like I saw somebody on Twitter. They were like they were making fun of Michael Jordan because they had some old footage of Michael Jordan. It was like old footage. And Michael Jordan, for the first time on TV, he took the basketball and went from behind his back and switched it to another hand. So the commentator was amazed. He was like, I've never seen a move like that before, like taking the ball behind his back. And this is like in the 80s. So somebody in the comments, they literally was like, oh my God, if Steph Curry was back in that time, he would be like way, I'm like, you don't understand technology and generational experience. Like in that time, if Steph Curry was in that time, that would have been the best move Steph Curry could have done. You have
they
to
don't know.
You have to understand there's a foundation, there's a rites of passage, there's a lineage for everything. If I see somebody jump 10 feet and that's the bar, then the next bar would be able to beat that.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? There's an evolutionary process, and it's no different with hip hop. That's why, with hip hop being, and this is my next question for you, because with hip hop being so accessible, right? Hip hop is so accessible. If all you need is an internet, or you can record, upload. Everybody's a rapper. Anybody can be a rapper. Anybody can be a producer. Anybody can be a label owner now with just a click of a button. So it oversaturates, and it kind of takes away from the the integrity of the actual work ethic, the actual learning, the actual business acuity, etc. Right? Because everybody thinks they can just jump into the arena and say they're a professional or say they have skin in the game. And it's diluted the game to the point where a lot of creatives, artists, entertainers have become delusional or lost in the sauce. So how have you remained grounded from, your inception, starting as an artist from when you started to when I met you to now? How have you kept your integrity? How have you kept, your balance in this soup of confusion and delusion?
Man, I think it like, I hear that. Like, I want to recognize that. First of all, I hear like the point you're making, like, and what people need to like keep in mind, and this is great that now this is top of mind. Hip hop is 50 now. With these other forms of music, they were young at the time. So I want to say that. So there was a time when probably in the 60s and 70s where there was probably a lot of young men who thought they were gonna be rock and roll stars.
Right.
So they and you can see it. You might see pictures of people, their grandfather so and so had a guitar. So it was like, I look at nowadays, I try not to like, when I look at it, that's what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there was a time when, any young man could go get a guitar and probably thought he was going to be the next Elvis, or, and you speed it up to the 70s.
Right.
You go to somewhere and they got a little neighborhood band in somebody's garage.
Mm.
That's the time we're
That's
in
real.
now. It's just the form of music that's popular is hip hop. So, to address your question, I have been doing this since I've been a kid. So it's been something that starting from the beginning, I knew like I wanted to learn as much as possible, right? So before I even went to the studio, I'm reading everything I can learn about hip hop, the history.
Studying, okay.
Yeah, studying the history, studying the game, studying, knowing who's who. I could name people that worked at record labels as a kid, like, probably average stuff that, people might not pay attention to. A lot of times people want to just, they'll know the rappers, but they don't know the people that's behind them and how these things are happening. I was just as interested from the beginning. I was just as interested in those aspects as I was with the artistry. You know what I mean? Before I even, attempted to rap. My beginnings with hip hop, it first was, I say, doing graffiti as a kid. I'm walking around tagging stuff up with markers, post office labels, what have you. And from there, at one time I wanted to be a DJ, but when I didn't have the money to get equipment to become a DJ.
What was your DJ name, bro? What was
I ain't even get that far. It was just a thought, like, man, I'm gonna be a DJ. Like,
okay, got you.
that looks cool to me. But then I realized, I also like to write as well. So over time, my writing, basically I was writing poems and then it turned into raps. Then, as my confidence grew, I would start rhyming them out loud to myself, then to my friends. But, to go all the way back to your question, how I stay grounded or just, I'll say focused on what I'm doing is just like, I know that this is what I do and what I've done since I've been younger, to where like it's not something that just enter my mind and I'm trying to wing it. You know what I mean? Like I really dedicated my life and followed this path since I've been a young man. You know what I mean?
What was that dedication point where it's like, yo, I really want to dedicate myself to this. Like I'm really
like, when I was a kid, like a teenager, I was like, in my mind, I had it set. Like, I want to figure out how I can be one of these people who's getting paid from doing what I love. So from the beginning, like my first things that I made money in music, it wasn't just I jumped in and, started having some success as a rapper. It was at first, I'm doing promotion. Promotions work. So I'm working as a street team member, doing freelance stuff for record labels. Then from there, my first actual paying job was working in radio as a promotions assistant.
Facts. So, at 106, right?
Yeah, I worked for 106.5 The Beat. That was a Clear Channel affiliate based in the Central Virginia area. But yeah, it was just like, that was my mindset.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I know everybody's like having fun at events or seeing what's on TV, but I want to figure out how I can be one of the people who and it's not about just getting paid, but how can I make this my job?
Right. How can
I
you get paid for doing what you love? Like you said.
How can I
put yourself in position?
be employed and make a living doing what I love versus, something else. So I think that was it from the beginning.
So
just thinking that.
All right. So like right now, hip hop is 50 years old, right? Hip hop is a 50-year-old man or woman, right? Now, if you look at a 50-year-old man or woman, you would expect them to be at a certain point in their life, right? So this is a good time to really evaluate hip hop and give our observatory perspective. You know what I mean? So hip hop is 50 years old, right? And the title of the show, right, is rap music on a permanent decline. And people may not think rap is on a decline, but let's just look at the facts, right? Again, we about them facts. Shout out to Red Pillar and Blue Pillar, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we about them facts, But yeah, hip hop on paper is on a decline. Hip hop hasn't charted in the year 2013. That's the first time that's happened, right? Hip hop is not charting. There hasn't been a number one hip hop album in the year 2023. There have been reports on that. Obviously we've lost some of the greatest, most brilliant minds and talent and just people, just beings. From violence, gun violence, and other things that have, hip hop artists, rap artists have been dying or being taken from us at an exponential rate. It's pretty much at a climax. It's pretty much been at a climax. And amongst other things, at one point, hip hop was definitely, and it still is, it's enriching families, enriching lives, it's got people out the hood, from ashy to classy. Shout out to Big, we went from ashy to classy, hip hop did that. Absolutely. And it still is doing that. But now we have to look at the scale. Yeah. We checking on the schematics. Is this joint good? But hip hop, we got to put hip hop on the scale right now, y'all. We got to say, is hip hop enriching and raising and growing more families, or is it destroying more households? Is rap music destroying more households than it's aiding? Is it equal? Is it uneven? Right? I'm pretty sure you all have your own opinions and perspectives and truths about that, but that's really where we're at collectively. That's what we have to ask. So I ask you, like from your perspective, and I'm gonna give mine, but I want to hear yours first. Like, first off, and there's no right or wrong answer, like I said, do you feel rap music is on a decline, on a permanent decline? If it is on a decline, if not, if it is, can it be overturned? And the state of the culture right now, how do you feel personally?
I mean, it's definitely at a time of change. I can only compare it to what we've seen during the generations that we've been involved. I mean, right. I think it's I don't know. I think it's a different time, on one hand.
But do you think it's on a decline? Let's start there. Let's dissect the question. Do you think rap music is on a decline? Because look, this is for experiential people who are in the game. These are players on the field. You're not in the stands, you're on the field, right?
Yeah.
So, and you have hindsight, insight, and foresight.
All right, just answer it. Nah, I don't think it's on a decline, right? I think that what is the most popular in rap, right? That constantly changes. What is the most popular aspect of rap at the moment, whether, it was party rap at a time or it was reality rap, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. I think that the time we're in with what's the most popular version of rap music is different.
Okay.
I don't think it's causing a decline. I do think that, it needs to be more balanced. But I think that there are, if you look at it, there's a lot of criticism right now about like hip hop when it comes to like drill rap and violence and sexual content, what have you. But if you really look at some of the most popular rappers, they're not making that type of music.
That's a fact.
You feel me?
That's a
Like,
fact. Cole, Kendrick.
Yeah, Cole, Kendrick, Tyler, Drake.
Yeah,
even.
that's a fact. That's
you
a
know
fact.
the top of the rap game.
They not drilling.
Nah. So that's why I can't, necessarily agree with that point of view.
Mhm.
I think sometimes when people critique things, they compare it to whatever resonated with them at the best time of their lives. You know what I mean?
The
So
white hot moment for them. Yeah, facts.
Exactly. So I think, that's just
It's not.
that's
No, it's
just
not
my
on the.
thoughts on
I
it.
love that
Because there's a lot
perspective.
of different
It-
dope
it's-
rap that's out there.
Right, and it's the
all on-
broadest it's ever been. It's the
Exactly,
most
exactly.
successful it's ever been. But it like you said, it's a balance. It's a contrast because
Yeah.
there are OG artists, pioneers who some of them knew hip hop was going to be big, but they'll tell you could never imagine it would have become this
Yeah,
big.
I don't think
right?
there's never been like you look at it, and then with the accessibility with technology,
Yeah, that's a
there
whole
are
nother
so
level.
many people eating off their music that wasn't possible before.
Right.
You know what I mean? The amount of independent artists that's, might not be Drake, but is still making a living. Like
Right.
it's a lot. You know what I mean?
Actual,
Because of
factual.
things like independent digital distribution,
Mhm.
social media. There's so many independent, I say, creatives where you don't have to be, with a record label, or even if you do clothes or anything. You know
Right.
what I mean? There's so many people who are able to make money now off of their creativity. That wouldn't have been possible before.
Facts. It goes back to the entrepreneurial aspect because we jumped out the window to learn, but a lot of people look at these documentaries and you hear these stories about these bad contracts that people sign. Like why did they sign these bad contracts? But you got to realize
That's what was available.
exactly, and it goes back to the intro of the show. What I'm talking about because you have to look at the architects of society. You have to look at the elements and the influences that created the conditions, right? If we're gonna call out COINTELPRO and involvement from the CIA and the FBI and local and governments, and we also have to call out the neighborhood hustler, the neighborhood pimps, the neighborhood stick-up kids. You know what I'm saying? The neighborhood girls that was setting people up. It's an amalgamation of a lot of influences that created the conditions that birthed hip-hop, the culture, the expression from the oppression, right? And even the ghettos, you know what I'm saying? I tell my brothers all the time, and that I teach and mentor, like, look, we want to get mama out the hood. Like that's number one. But mama should have never been in the hood in the first place. Like these conditions that we've been put in, the things that people are dealing with now and starting to come to the light, they've been there from the inception of hip hop. You see, if the hustlers was influencing the rappers, because at one point in hip hop and rap, it was corny to be a rapper. Like if you was a hustler, that's who was the guy. You know what I'm saying? The rappers emulated the hustlers, but you're the hustler in the club with the mink coats and moving work through your city and section. But guess what? The feds is watching you, the local police is watching you, and all these other interest groups are still watching you. So they're there from the jump anyway. They're seeing the culture form. They're seeing it shape. They're seeing it. They're influencing. They have agents. You know what I'm saying? So these things, because people look at how the game is now. You fast forward to 2023, RICO charges are sweeping through all kind of sections throughout the country. You know what I'm saying? People is going through. So it's like, but that element has always been there. So, again, I love what your point of view is because I see hip hop going through a renaissance. I see this Phoenix era, you know what I'm saying, where something has to transcend or die or transform to become this new thing. But this thing is always what it's been.
Exactly.
Hip hop now is, you in New York a lot, in the Bay and Atlanta. You see the culture where these underground, not underground, but just exclusive, more intimate events where it's more, private based or curated for people who are connoisseurs of the art and highly appreciate. And Nip was on that, and a lot of other brothers. Shout out to Larry June and Lizzie Jeff and, just a lot of people who are independent or conscious, Sauce God, Camp Bada, Sal Rock, L.A. Russell, right now it's about partnership. So, I love that perspective, bro. Like, So, while we got you here, bro, because, we talking about global topics, but let's get to some regional and local business, bro. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, like you opened your store up. The store's been open, 2 years now, a year now?
Nah, one.
1 year.
Yep.
Yo, that's a blessing, yo.
Thank you.
Man, I remember when you cut the ribbon on the store. I remember watching your blueprints of you just mapping out the schematics of the store, how it's gonna look and be positioned. You're in the arts district, so the store is open. You just released a project this summer. You know what I'm saying, with the good brother Big No. Man, a project that just came out of nowhere, it seems, and just kind of just took the city by storm, took the area by storm. The DMV, shout out DC, Maryland, Virginia. The whole Mid-Atlantic, the down south to the West Coast, like worldwide. So we dropped the project, you've been doing shows, you know what I'm saying? You just did a show with Benny. You got another show coming up, you know what I'm saying, with Rome Streets, you know what I'm saying? Like with the Griselda family, like you just been working, elevating, creating, but at the same time, you have a family. You're a family man. You know what I'm saying? You have real tangible responsibilities. You're dealing with day-to-day real life situations, Unfortunately, a few days ago, off your social medias, you announced that somebody unfortunately broke into the store and took some very valuable items, But I love how you addressed it. I love the grace, because it's tough, man. You know what I'm saying? Like one thing people gotta understand, it's harder to take control of yourself and get balance than it is to react on your first impulse, right? Let me give y'all some insight. Noah, a Gemini, I'm a Gemini. So, Noah coming into the store, seeing somebody broken, your first impulse is probably kill everything, right? That's just me. Kill everything. But, the fact that you were able to process it, realize your blessings, and come with a graceful, display, man. I really salute that and respect that, man. So
I appreciate
let's
that.
just talk about, your journey from creating the store, that process, getting to where you are now, the ups and the downs of it, and the work you've been doing in music, bro.
Yo, so yeah, about a year ago, we opened the Charged Up flagship store. So ever since, again, like going back to my childhood, I've always been involved with clothing. I would customize clothes for people in high school, like dyed Timberlands, Jordans,
For real?
Wallabies, yeah. Trying to make T-shirts, but I didn't know the process, like, the mechanics behind it. But that has always been in my mind,
Right.
when we was growing up, having shows, get custom shirts made, what have you. But even going back to my first mixtape, like I was thinking about it when you were talking, like the time when I put out my first mixtape, I had on a Virginia fitted hat, and at the time it was a cat. Shout out to Uncle Steve, a cat named U.S. Daniels from down in 757, and I had seen a picture of these VA fitted hats.
Mm-hmm.
My homeboy like found out who it was. He gave me the business card and was like, "Yo, this a dude who make the VA fitted." So what I did was I hit homeboy up. I end up going down to 757 in Lincoln with him. He met me at the hotel, and I was just trying to buy like one or two hats. Me and dude end up like politic, and I ended up buying like a bunch of them from him wholesale.
That's dope.
So yeah, I was like,
At the plug.
bro, let me get all these. He gave them to me for the low, and then what I did was like, I was going around selling the hats. And mind you, I'm selling the hats, but I'm wearing the hat on my mixtape cover. So I'm selling the hats and was giving my mixtape away. So it's like, boom, you want to add $30, whatever, 2 for $40. Boom, here, take this mixtape. And then I was selling the hats so much, and then people were seeing my mixtape that people were thinking it was my hats.
That's crazy.
This is
that's
like
branding. It's like, branding.
Yeah, how can I, but I never, was telling people that. It's just that dude was from a whole different part of the state. So as far as like people up here getting them hats, they was getting them from me. But, just going back, this is, now the evolution of where I'm at now, having a store, this is something, this kind of exists.
It's like a dream come true, bro. It got it got it. I mean, like, I mean,
Definitely,
and you're so
definitely.
detailed about your store. Let's talk about the details of the store, because I mean, as soon as you walk in, you got the baseball turnkey joint. You know what I'm saying? You got the
Yeah.
baseball bats. You got the grass. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're very detailed. Where does that detail come from? You know what I mean? When it comes to your creative.
Like, like I remember, actually, shout out my man J Biz.
Shout out J Biz, just walked in the building.
Yeah, shout out J Biz, Ron. Man, J Biz had a video shoot. We was at a selfie place, and they were shooting the video, and I remember the owner, I believe it's Jasmine. Jasmine, I was talking to her, I was kicking it with her. She was telling me about, I was like, man, this is dope. You open your own business. She's a young lady, and she's just telling me about her journey opening her business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think I wasn't even thinking about owning a store at the time, but I've always been, inspired by people who are entrepreneurs, small businesses, independent artists. So I'm just picking her brain, like,
Right.
What was that process like? And she was like, if you want to do a business, like, it's got to be Instagrammable.
Mm.
Like,
What year was this? Like,
this
around what
20
time?
pandemic time. So,
Okay, all right.
when it comes to like clothing, even hip hop music, what have you, we in a day and time, like you said, anybody can do anything.
Right.
But the way I believe people can set themselves apart is, you attention to detail, how thorough are you, and also
Bar. That's a bar. That's a fact.
yeah, being thorough with your process, because you can't fake
Let
that.
me
You know
add a
what I mean?
pyramid. Let me add a brick to that pyramid, to the pyramid on that, because when you say, all right, I got some pants. I think they was pink dolphin. I had some pink dolphin shorts, right? And I had these shorts for like a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
And then like one day I had flipped them inside out. I ain't even wear them. And then I finally decided to wear them. I wore them one time, and then I wore them the second time, but I wanted to iron it. And I flipped it inside out, and it had detail all on the inside zipper. Like the inside zipper was the illest shit ever. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, like it blew my mind. You know what I'm saying? So just that little detail, like you said, bro, it sets the creative, the artist, the creator apart. And I've noticed that pet peeve about you, just being around you, like you about them details, bro.
Yo, it's like, being thorough in your process, in your creation, it'll separate you. You know what I mean? Especially like you said, we in a time when anybody could do anything. But what you can't fake, I remember, shout out my dude Ricky Parker, but what you can't fake is
Shout
the
out
work,
Ricky.
bro. You can't fake.
Can't fake the work.
You can't
fake the 10,000 hours, bro.
Yeah, you can't fake the work. You can't pay somebody overseas to run the numbers up on the work.
That part.
You gotta actually do it. You know what I mean?
That scam is over. That
can't-
digital font. Come on, man.
You
It's
can't
like, bro.
you can't fake that. So that, and also one thing, over the last few years, being a student and a fan of like just fashion and sneaker culture, streetwear culture, what I seen from going around.
What are your top 3 favorite fashion brands
Hold
of
on,
all
hold on.
time?
Let me say this. What I seen though, the boutiques and the brands that stood out to me, or it really is like the boutiques, what I learned was like, you have to make it an experience.
Right.
When somebody steps in
That's a
somewhere, a lot of boutiques might have the same exact, just decor, colors. Like there's some real dope boutiques. One is that I went to in LA. It was apartment 4B. This dude made a boutique, and it looked like, and it's in Hollywood.
Right.
But when you step inside there, it looks like you in an apartment in the projects in New York. Like it feels like it. Got a stove, the furniture, everything. And then there's another boutique called Bodega up in Boston, where it looks like a bodega.
Hey.
Fake soap, fake, lotto tickets, Newports, everything. So it's like
The
just
experience,
yeah,
bro.
just them type of things, bro.
I with the trap houses, the trap museum,
like the trap
museum.
Yeah,
like,
how can I do that when it's like for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if somebody steps foot off Broad Street and comes in here, will it be something they remember?
Yeah.
Whether they buy it or not, or if they put it on their Instagram or take a picture, I know it'll stay with them.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So
that's a bar, bro. Like you said, because as soon as you step in, it's an experience. And I want to get, but like, we're gonna continue, but I want to get your top 3 favorite fashion brands. You know,
I mean, first, of course, like Nike. Nike never going nowhere.
I got on some Nike sweatpants right now.
You know what I mean? I'm sure every one of us got some Nike
though.
on.
Yeah, off the
Nike, you can't beat Nike, but
yeah.
who else? Man, who else? What else? I'm a big fan of like vintage stuff. So of course,
that.
like, you know, just like if it was like some staple things and I can only get these 3.
You snatching them up.
Yeah. And that's what I had to rock. Like, yo, these go pick 3 things that you're gonna have as your wardrobe. Nike, probably some polo.
Can't lose with the polo. Can't lose with the polo. Yeah. No.
Who else? Probably some jerseys. Cause I just rock a lot of jerseys. I like
facts. You be having some pieces too, bro.
Yeah, I want to say this stuff like, of course, you know, I like things like Supreme, Babe, all of that, but I like them staple pieces. Probably Levi's.
Yeah, Levi's is classic.
See, I'm real classic.
I keep some
in
Levi's
that sense,
in my closet, bro. Like some crispy
Levi's.
Yeah.
Because you compare them things with different things that make it look, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Anything. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm real staple pieces. Levi's, Nike.
All right, so we got some of the sauce. We get them some of the sauce of like influences. So we got the store. The store was mapped out, and like I said, I remember blueprint mode. Like let's go through the blueprint mode because people say, all right, you know, I want to start a business. I want to do this. And side note, look, let's talk about entrepreneurship. Let me hold on. We're gonna get into my man's breakdown, but we got to talk about this entrepreneurship. Like, it's okay to be an employed entrepreneur. Right, this is a coin I termed, and I'm gonna give it to you right now. There's nothing wrong with being an employed entrepreneur. This means there's nothing wrong with working a job or a gig and still being the boss of your own dream or your plan or your goal or your strategy. Right, you just gotta fund it. There's not actually that's some of the most boss shit when you're funding your dreams with your gig or with your job. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, being employed entrepreneurs, because we were employed entrepreneurs. You got me on at Capital One.
You know, to anybody watching this, I've always rapped, but I've always had a job too.
Facts.
Like, I never tried to hide it.
Right.
But one thing I do, these people ain't paying me to promote them.
Yeah,
if my job was
Facts.
to be
Facts.
their promotions or marketing on, you'll know where I'm at. But
Facts.
nah, that ain't my job. So, but what I did always try to do, again, going back, like I worked at the radio station.
Facts.
So I was always moving in the direction of where, when I worked a 9 to 5, is it in line with where I'm going or what I do when I'm not there?
Right.
Another job, I've always worked in sales. I worked for Capital One. I've done outside sales, but these are skills.
That man let me tell y'all something. Noah got me out the streets, y'all. Like, let me tell you something. Like, man, it's been a while. I've known this man 20 years, around 20 years, right? I was in the streets, and I was ready to get out the streets. I made the mental, conscious decision that every man who gets tired of the game, of the trap, of the mousetrap, and just realize, you know, I'm all right, we got to make this change. And I needed a real position. And Noah referred me at that company right there. And that position was a stepping stone that allowed me to really build a foundation. So first off, let me just salute you for that, man, because I ain't gonna lie, man.
Remember.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if you did that referral gave me an opportunity, and that opportunity, man, it changed my family dynamic, bro. So I thank you. That's why I'm saying it's like, and I don't think I've told anybody that. We're gonna say it here tonight on Control the Narrative because I'm controlling the narrative. You know, this is about integrity, morality, values. You know, we have to reevaluate and really put under the microscope our value system. You know, we've been tricked as a collective, as a society. You know, that degeneracy is acceptable and normal. And you know, lack of morality and lack of respect of the sacredity of human life.
Yeah, man. I know, like, especially in, you know, when people say in the culture, hip hop culture, whatever, like, it's not corny to have no job. You got to make money. So, I mean, I'm not telling you where to go get your money from. Right. But that's key. And so, like, even back to like what you said about Capital One, like, you know, I worked at Capital One. That taught me the concepts everything that I've learned in sales and working them type jobs, I directly applied to what I'm doing now. So like my last couple jobs that I had was doing sales. To anybody that doesn't want a traditional 9 to 5, I'm talking about like customer service, that type of stuff, go into sales. If you have the gift of gab, I mean, sales jobs, you know, you got people that are work for medical companies, make a ton of money. Like, and I had a cousin, he was working in Vegas for a magazine. And that's what first pushed me into that. Cause I'm like, I would go to Vegas and I realized like we would be at his crib. Then we'll go to the casino. Then we'll go to a club. And he was like, yo, I'm working. I'm like, bro, what do you do?
I'm doing this anyway, right?
Yeah, he's like, he worked in sales. He was selling ads for the magazine, for a nightlife magazine. So I was like, bro, I gotta get on this where I can just go talk and hang out.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
But, yeah, working in them side jobs, bro, taught me financial literacy, learned me about
Bars.
you know, how to build credit, how to build lines of credit. And then like one of my last jobs was working in sales with small businesses. So I would be in that job, like talking to business owners, learning how they ran their companies from the ground up. And then when it was time, I just applied that to Charged Up. Straight up.
Yeah, I seen the parallel. I seen you, and I do the same thing. I don't know if it's a Gemini thing. I don't know what it is, but we extract from the experience. We extract our resources, the learning experiences, everything we need, and we apply it. And that's why I say employed entrepreneur, or you could be a straight entrepreneur. But a lot of times it takes you to be an employed entrepreneur. You're going to have to take the funds from your efforts, from your gig, your job, your contract, whatever it is, and fund yourself. And, you know, the most important hours, I heard somebody say this online, but the most important hours truly for a person who has a family is the time when you get off work. So if you work like a 9 to 5, then that 5 to like 9:30, that's the most crucial time because you have to teach your children. You have to do the things that matter for you in your personal life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
that's the thing too.
I saw you do that.
People didn't know because of how hard they would see y'all work. Like, man, what do you do? Like, you work a job? I'm like, yeah, bro. But you got to realize, like you said, them hours that I'm off, I'm working for me. Because I'm already trading my time for money for this 8-hour block of my life. I'm giving to them. But as soon as that, it's like, you know, when you're at school, you waiting for that thing to hit.
The bell go off.
As soon as that bell go off, I'm out. You know what I mean? I'm out. I'm going to work for me. But yeah, straight up, everything that I learned from how to get the business credit to all of that, I just used it to build really like
your label, your brand.
Yeah, the last job I had restructured. I have been doing music, you know, independently, what have you, but I wasn't really running it properly like a business until just recently, because it was like the last job that I got, last job I had, working so closely within the small business world really showed me how to do it. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. I get the concepts that I was missing. Now I comprehend them. Now it's time.
Light bulbs out to go off.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. And that's what I talk about in my book. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're using what you're passionate about. You're using what you're gifted at. And you're funneling that into your purpose. And that also funnels into your experiences, your projects, and the things that, you know, you eventually create, you know. And it's amazing because we're all reflecting off of each other and experiencing life through our own personal lenses, but, you know, we're all reverberating off each other. And I've seen the parallels, you know what I'm saying? I've seen you create and learn and bump and bruise and level up and sit down and take time off when you need to. It's a balance. And that's why I salute. And that's why I asked you, you know, like, what kept you grounded, you know? So now you got the store, you know, the store's up and running. I mean, man, we've done so many successful events. We're just really getting started. Richmond is going through an entire revitalization. The DMV, the whole DMV. One thing about me, like when I say DMV, because there's so much politics around the DMV, I'm really from the DMV. Like, I've lived in Maryland and Virginia pretty much for the most of my life, outside of when I was traveling when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? So in DC, I'm always in DC. So this region, that conversation, and this is the next topic, is the regional aspect. Is just like, people are asking, how can we strengthen the DMV and really put the spotlight on this area when it comes to entertainment, music, arts, crafts, the facts, the food, the art, the clothes, the technology, the shelter, right? And it's here. I mean, to be honest, DC, Maryland, Northern Virginia, that is like what Atlanta is to the South. That's what this area is to the top of the South, for the Mid-Atlantic. You know, and you've been able to foster relationships through your brand, through your music, just through your integral demonstration. You know, you just keep it solid. You know, so navigating the DMV, what would be some advice for upcoming artists out this area? You know, to take this to the next level.
Man, like you said, just having integrity. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Simple things, keeping your word. Them type of values, them cliche things are really important, especially in a thing that the world I exist in with hip hop. Like, it's a rare. You would think it's something easy, but those type of traits are still rare. You know what I mean? But they go a long way. Everything that I have really is based off handshakes and people keeping their word. You know what I mean? So I've been able to build relationships, like you said, really throughout this region just by being myself. When I see somebody doing something I admire, not letting my pride get in the way, and let them know that I recognize it, or like
facts.
Not having that fear of
we've
what
been
other people gonna think.
We've been to a lot of upcoming artists, in their beginning stages. Noah put me on to a lot of music. Like, matter of fact, you was the first person to mention Money Man to me.
Oh yeah,
you know
shout
what
out
I'm
Money
saying?
Man.
And I listen to
boss.
Money Man like all day. Like I can't, like, you know what I'm saying? And like I was saying earlier, we are in the playlist in discography era. There's so much music out that it's, you have to kind of dig in the crates. And that's why TikTok and Instagram and social media was so pivotal for the time that it was. And it still is, but to be honest with you, I find out about a lot of music through social media, especially TikTok.
Yeah.
If a song is playing in the background, I ain't heard it before. I mean, what song is that? But I think where the lines get blurred is when people their intentionality is not authentic. Meaning, like, let it happen authentically. Don't try to force it. Like, if I put this song with this, it's gonna do. No, the expectations can be your worst limitations. Right? And your expectations can be your worst limitation. So, the authenticity takes you so far. And that's why you've been able to last so long, And, while we're talking about the store, what happened, in relation to the store getting broken into, and, again, salute the grace on it, but just, what happened?
Like, bro, at the end of the day, I have a business in the arts district downtown. Like, I've had a couple things happen. I had to my windows got broke. I had to replace them. Now I think it just comes with the territory. Like, where I'm located at during 2020, it was a lot of businesses that got looted, broken into. So
Pandemic era.
yeah, it's just, I look at it like it's the times we in. You know what I mean? Like, and I do recognize, like, what I do and what a few other people do in the city is not that common. We're in a region that hasn't seen as many independent entrepreneurs, independent artists having some measure of success. You know what I mean? Like Houston or the Bay, where it's like, it just come with it. You know what I mean? And
it's kind of like, not to interject, cut your wisdom, but it's the Eminem complex, I call it. It's like, all right, Eminem, a European Caucasian rapper from Detroit, from the streets of Detroit, but he's not a street cat. He's not a hustler. He's not a stepper. He's just living his life, and he's being honest through his lyricism. One of the illest lyricists of all time. I don't care what y'all talk about. Eminem is one of the illest lyricists of all time, right? But, a lot of the cats in the streets of Detroit would tell you that Eminem does not represent the streets of Detroit. And not that Eminem is trying to, he's not trying, and he's not trying to. He's not trying to represent be the face of the street. Yeah. And you kind of have those politics with your position because you're from the Bay, right? You moved here. You have a contrast, equal experience. You've been on both coasts equally, right? And you moved to Virginia, which unfortunately, if you've been here due to Southern politics, Confederate politics, Jim Crow politics, a lot of resources and access was held back. At one time, Richmond was considered literally like the Wakanda of the earth. You know, I mean, there was technology here that hadn't been seen anywhere else in the world for our generations or those generations. You know, so having that contrast where people are saying, "Yo, Noah-O, to be honest, let's just be honest. People don't want Noah-O to represent the streets of Richmond because of who you are or maybe how you look or whatever their perspective may be. Amongst all the work and excellent efforts and the consistency, right? There's a natty and he's showing off. So he's trying to be on camera. We're gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. But I mean, that's just really what it is with a lot of people. They don't want but nor are you trying to be the face of the streets
that's
of
what
Richmond.
I was gonna say. Like,
you're not trying. It's the Eminem complex almost.
Like, bro, at the end of the day, like, I can only represent my experience, right? So I'm not, and I think, you know, people who are tapped in, have seen my career or listen, like, bro, I'm being myself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, you take in Atlanta, you could have a Andre 3000, a B.O.B., but at the same time, you could have a 21 Savage.
Facts.
You get what I mean? Like, and that's, as long as people understand that, even, you know, you mentioned DMV, you got a Corday, but you also got a Hefe or a Fat Trail.
Right.
Like, you know, it's like, bro, in Virginia, you can have multiple people representing at the same time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, you got some cats who may be more on the street side, some cats who represent this or represent that. I'm just trying to meet myself. I'm just trying to represent myself, my movement, you know, charged up, my experiences, and put out the story, my own story,
Right.
Control my own narrative. I represent, you know, for people, I represent like any person who had a dream and wanted to become something bigger than their surroundings or their area. You know what I mean? I want to see the world. I want the people to know in New York or Cali that Richmond, Virginia exists and that it's dope rappers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's people doing dope things, whether it's starting businesses or being independent entrepreneurs, having their own clothing lines. Like, that's what I represent. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Salute to that.
anybody who might halfway be paying attention is like, bro, just not having that mindset of, well, if, you know, Noah-O succeeds, then that's taking somebody else's spot. It's not taking nobody's spot because there's only one me. You know what I mean? Like, bro, you want to be the biggest of this, and that, you could be that.
Facts.
I'm just being myself.
That's
you know
it.
what I mean?
And that's what I always respect about you. I mean, you're being yourself. And Eminem is being himself. That's why that's one of the people I can contrast it to, because let's just be honest, Richmond in relation to the demographic of nationalities, for the most part, is Europeans or Caucasians or what, you know, misnomer as white people. And the other half would be, you know, indigenous, Aboriginal, Native, so-called black people. Those are the two main dynamics. You have now you have a good integrated Latino and Mexican community, but you know, maybe you go to the Virginia Beach, you see more Filipinos and other nationalities. So, you know, Richmond you're like one of the first Filipino artists to really at this level. I don't know I mean, of course there are pioneers.
Yeah, especially for the whole state of Virginia, bro. Like, I mean, I don't know. There's not too many other. You feel me?
Right. So that because it's like when I move, I'm a military brat, and you know, I hate the term military brat, but military brat. I traveled a lot. I moved to Alaska. We moved to Alaska, and from Alaska we moved to Maryland, right? And I say Maryland again. Maryland, D.C., and Northern Virginia is like Atlanta, but just with a higher cost of living. You know what I'm saying? So I moved to this area and I'm seeing the entire spectrum of the indigenous American community or African American community or Native, Aboriginal, so-called misnomer black community. We have people who are living in mansions, they're in politics, living affluent. You have people who are Republicans, who are Democrats. You have people who are conservative. You have people on this side. You have people who don't care about none of that. You're seeing the whole spectrum. So for me, it was a culture shock. Not because it was a whole bunch of melanated people or melanin-rich people. It was because I never saw it. Where I was from, Wilmington, we only saw the downside of it after the effects of the KKK and, pretty much foreign invaders coming through, killing people and taking the land, forcing our people out of our governments, our homes, our businesses, right? So I only got to see the downside. So getting to Maryland at that point in my childhood, seeing people, I'm like, wow, it's a contrast. So back to you.
Yeah, it's a big middle and upper class.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no contrast to Filipino, or in your Italian as well.
Yeah.
You're Sicilian, if I'm not correct, right?
Yeah.
All right. So your nationality, you have so it's like there's no reference point. You're the first reference point. So
Yeah.
and then to throw on top of that, and you're gonna be the face of Richmond. Not saying that's the title you're asking for. It's just that the perception is, like you said, people think there's only one spot. And that goes back to indoctrination.
Like I seen somebody just made a list of like top 50 Richmond rappers of, I guess, in history. So to me, you know what I mean? Like people was tagging me in it. But that to me, that was just dope. That the fact we at a point in 2023 where they could have 50 names. And not only 50 names, it's more than that. You feel me? But they had so many people that they narrowed it down to 50. Like, I think that when you talked earlier about there being a decline, like, nah, there's a abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think with that is so much of everything now. But what's going to stand out?
Right.
The quality. You know what I mean?
Quality.
So
Always go back to quality for me, bro. I pay for quality. Like, it's all about quality, bro. That's it. It's not about the name brand for me. It's just about what I'm into. You know what I'm saying, bro? I can be in Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth, just like I can be in Marshalls and JCPenney. You know what I'm saying? Like
I was just looking at an article about what's it called? Shein. You know Shein?
No.
Shein is like a website a lot of women order stuff off of. Like, it's fast fashion, but it's not. It's like fast fashion and makeup, but these are cheap items.
Okay.
$5 and less.
Right.
But it's like, you get what you're paying for. You feel me? Like, that's the time where because of the computers and social media.
That's what Nip said.
So much of everything is being created.
Right.
Right?
The jig is up, bro. I mean, like we talking 50 years of hip hop. I mean, hip hop was a cry out. It was a cry out from the inner city. It was a creative expression, from the conditions of the environment. Again, ghettos come from Nazi, Germany and European European scientists. Let's just be factual. This isn't emotion. These are just facts. If you just do your research, these are just facts. Ghettos come from Nazi Germany. These are pre and post concentration camp areas. That's where ghettos were. And they brought that science and that experiment to the United States of America, or to the Americas, right? And they put a concentration of the demographic in this area, which breeds, desperation, which is going to breed crime, poor education, and all the other vices and sins that come with it, right? So this is by design. And out of this comes this art form, this billion-dollar art form that has transformed the lives of youth all across the world. And in the middle of it, we're in the middle of it. We've created, we're creating, and we bring people here to control the narrative, because who is going to tell your story better than you? Who's going to give your perspective other than you? And we respect your expert and professional opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate you, bro.
Let's get into this album, bro. Let's get into this album. I heard this album, Heretic. I got the honor to preview this album. Shout out to Michael Millions, you know what I'm saying? Super dope engineer. I got the honor to preview this album, bro. This album is just fuego. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Wait till I get my sound effects, y'all. This is just episode 1, but it's phenomenal. Yeah. So, bro, let's talk about this album, bro. What's the theme? What is Heretic? What is a heretic? What does that mean to you, and what does it mean, bro?
Man, the heretic, the phrase itself, like, was really started being known back in like the Middle Ages. I think like when the Catholic Church ran the world, a heretic was somebody like Joan of Arc. Anybody who went against the official stance.
Went against the grain.
Yeah, went against the system at that time, which was the church. If they labeled you a heretic, they'd kill you. You know what I mean? Like somebody like
a martyr.
Yeah, Jesus would be considered a heretic because the things he was saying was against what they deemed to be acceptable.
The establishment.
Exactly. So, yeah, that was the concept of. I started making this album. Shout out to my dude B, Il Bellicose. He came to me with an idea. He was like, "Yo, excuse me." He was like, "Would you let me help you make an album?" He was like, "I don't want to tell you what to do. I just want you to make an album, just rap. I'm gonna just start giving you beats, write and record to what you want to record to." So he started reaching out to like a lot of different producers I had never worked with, and he just started sending me like emails of beats. And
right,
bro, he was like, "I don't want you to overthink it. Just do whatever you feel.
Right,
like just rap." You know what I mean? So, boom, I started recording, and then at the beginning of last year, I had told myself, it was like a little experiment or a challenge to myself where I was like, "Bro, I'm gonna record every day. I don't care if it's one song."
Okay.
And I did that joint. Like I only did it for 2 months because I ended up opening the store. That's when I had to stop. But
oh wow.
Yeah, it started off where like, bro, I'm recording like 4 songs a day, 3 songs, 2 songs, some days 1. But it was like a challenge. I really did it for like 2 months straight, just recording.
That regimen. That's that regimen I was talking about earlier, y'all. Yeah. And before we get to the process of this album, I want to make some announcements, you know what I'm saying? Because we are here at WRBX, the RVA Boombox. Be sure to subscribe to link in my bio, y'all. Be sure to subscribe. Look, if you're on YouTube, just hit the subscribe button. If you're on social media, go to the link in my bio. And, you know, we'll have a folder for the show. This is where you can watch the full episodes. Be sure to subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. All right, thank you for that. All right.
Download the app too.
Download the app. Follow us on social media. What's your social media? At Charged Up Noah-O.
Yes,
mine
sir.
is at Sir Bey. We're gonna get more organized. You know, it's episode 1, y'all. But look, the first episode of season 1 was with Charged Up Noah-O, with King Odo. You know what I'm saying? So it's only right we bring him back. Man, I think it was, I don't even know how long it was since episode.
It might have been like 3-4 years. Man,
yeah, so it's been 3-4 years. It's like a high school graduation period or something. Right. You know what I'm saying? To see where we've come. And like everybody's talking about this 50 years of hip hop, bro. And we've lived it, we've breathed it, we're doing it now. You know, now we're the elders, we're the bridges of hip hop because, you know, we're in our 40 era, you know what I mean? A lot of us. So it's like, all right, a lot of the people that are 50 and 60, those are the guys that we saw, you know, like just stratosphere with hip hop. And now you got younger cats who are 20 and 30. We're right in the middle. We're the bridge, you know? So it's very important that we're responsible with our communication and our influence and our power. And that's why, you know, I speak on these grown men. They're not even grown men. These males that have the minds of adolescents that influence the culture, you know? Like, you good? Yeah, peace. Yeah. Shout out to Jay Biz, yo. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get him in here. You know what I'm saying? Most definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, man, you know, this adolescent mindset, because they say rap is a young man's sport only. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people say that's a psychological operation to basically, you know, take advantage of the younger, more, you know, malleable mind in business. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, it's a spectrum. You know, my personal opinion, it goes back to what you were saying about the balance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I listen to trap music. I listen to that. But again, I have the energetic maturity to take that energy and direct it into something that is useful, that is productive. Meaning, if I'm listening to trap music or whatever, I'm working out, I'm going to get some money, I'm doing something productive. I'm not directing my aggressive energy towards people and things like that. And a lot of people, because they haven't energetically cultivated their impulses, they become susceptible to, you know, internal and external energies, man. That's why we see a lot of people out here wigging out. You know, they chips is short circuiting out here. You know, it's because you haven't mastered and cultivated your impulses and energy. You know, we have to master our intrusive thoughts and impulses. You know, I seen a video on TikTok. You know, real shit. I seen a video on TikTok. This guy, he was on a rooftop. He's on a rooftop and he had the window open. He ducks out. He's looking over and he's real high. And then the intrusive thought, I call it the intrusive thought voice, comes in. And it's like, jump, do it, jump. You're not worth anything, come, just jump. And those voices, that voice really comes. And that's the intrusive thought. People think that that's you, but it's not you. And a lot of people act on it because they hear it or they think it's them. You know, some people will jump, and people are like, why they jump out the window? That intrusive thought, you see? And this is what's happening on a global scale, on a collective scale. You know, so I just wanted to drop that in there on that piece because you made me think about that. But we're in here, Control the Narrative, y'all. Episode 1, 50 years of hip-hop. Is hip-hop or rap music on a permanent decline? Noah-O gave you his perspective. My personal perspective is, I've already told you, it's going through a rebirth. So it's all about balancing the scales. Sometimes you have to die to live. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to live to die. You know what I'm saying? It's a balance. There's some yin in the yang and some yang in the yin. You know, again, we've lost some bright, brilliant brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, a lot of lives have been saved. A lot of families have been able to, you know, create wealth for generations, generational wealth. You know, so we're just at a crossroads now where we have to make the decision in regards to the world that we want to see for hip hop. How do we want to exist in it? How do we want to live? How do we want to honor it? And that's what it's about. You know, and in your life as well. How do you want to live your life? How do you want your reality to be? You know, and that's the key. And that's why I respect people who shape their reality and carve their reality, because it's not easy work. It's a gift and a curse, bro, like making things that are hard look easy. You know? You do, like, talk about that, like just making things that are actually hard look easy, because people.
Now the hardest thing, like you said, is the you know, just block out the noise and really find. I believe all of us have a purpose, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to block out the noise. Whether the noise is your environment, it could be your so-called family, your city, social media. You know, your neighborhood, whatever have you. But I believe each of us have a purpose. When you could, you know, be still enough to discover what that is for your life, and it's different for everybody. You know, once you latch onto that, you know, that's what's important. Mm-hmm. And once you truly find what you feel, you know, your God-given purpose is on this earth, there's nothing that could get in the way of it unless you allow it. So, you know, that I'm just a firm believer in that. I knew from a young age, was it easy? Nah, because at times, you know, it's unconventional. It's unconventional to think, especially that I could be you know, do what I love and make a living. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm, like that's not conventional. But what felt even worse for me personally was not honoring that. Not being, you know, that
the regret.
Yeah, the regret. Life.
What if I would have?
Yeah, man. Life is.
That's a bar.
Life, you know, human.
Life be lifing, bro.
Yeah, human beings' lifespan is short. It says, you know, in a lot of ancient writings, it says like our lifetime is just like a blink of an eye. It's like a grain of sand in the universe. You know what I mean?
1,000 years to a human is but 7 days in the heavens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like. So, yeah, real talk. Yeah,
I never looked
maximize.
And that's the thing. I never looked at what I was setting out to accomplish as being impossible or difficult. Right. I just looked at it like I have a plan, or I have something that I want, a strong desire, and I just need to figure out how to accomplish it. And that's from the time I've been a kid. Whenever I wanted something, you know, whatever it is, I believe we can get what we want in this life. Now, can like a human become an elephant? I don't know, things like that. But you know, if you want to, if
real talk, you can really. I mean, based on the like I said, it's based on the schematics of the game. I tweeted the other day. I said, life is a game. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's not in the context that it's not serious, but you need strategy to level up in this simulated reality.
Exactly. I believe I believe we can create our reality. Like right now, the things that I'm currently living in or experiencing,
Right.
at one time, these were just a thought.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
24 months
that's
ago.
what I seen your
You know what I
blueprint. I
mean?
seen it on paper. I seen it go
Yeah.
from your mind to paper to building to now event every month, every week, I've seen it, bro. And that's why
there's situations, there's things that I've written down that I don't believe these things need to be. And let me say this. I read something before and it was like, all right, people, if you're watching this, you may have heard of a bucket list, right? Somebody somebody gets diagnosed with some disease and doctor says you got 12 months to live. And they make a list.
Right.
All right, before I leave here in these 12 months, I'm going to go to Africa. I'm going to get a Corvette. I'm going to whatever.
Right.
And they said, like, a lot of times people accomplish these things.
Mm.
So it's like, if you can do that in a short amount of time.
Imagine what you could do.
But that's the thing. Now, somebody will make that list because they're like, I got 12 months.
Right.
I'm going to do it.
Right.
The thing is, regardless if we have 12 months or 12 years or 100 years,
right,
we already know that we have, the clock is ticking.
Right, absolutely.
You know what
right.
I mean? The clock is ticking for all of us. So it's like, why not make that list? And why wait till you only got 12 months left? That's how I look at it. Like, I don't say I have like dreams or like these wild ideas. I'm like, here's my to-do list.
Right.
Figure out how to get this done.
That's right.
It's
done.
real simple.
GetItDone.com.
To me, you know what I mean?
No, yeah,
That's
get it.
it.
I'm on the same team. GetItDone.com. Again, it's about the efficiency. It's about maximizing your effort, using your time the most effectively. Because again, you only have so much amount of energy and time in a day.
That's what we know, that our time and our life. I don't think our life is finite. Like, I believe we're our eternal beings.
Right.
We live
Factual.
on, but our life in this form, in this realm, you know what I mean? In this current space is not forever.
Right.
So it's like, that's all, bro. I just always wanted to.
So let's talk about these conditions, right? So conditions, like, I one of my sayings is, it's not your fault the conditions you may have been born into, but it is your responsibility to get out of it. Right. And I'm going to say that again. It may not be your fault, the conditions that you were born into, but it is going to be your responsibility to get out of it. Right. And on one level, you have people who stop on these are the conditions. This is how it is. And, and it's true, but what are you going to do about it? Yeah. Even in the age of information, everybody knows everything, but what are you doing with the information? There are so many intelligent people that are rude, who have no moral compass, who are narcissistic. So that intelligence, that smarts, that knowing all that stuff means nothing if you're not applying it to make yourself a more holistic person, a more holistic being, right? So, it's all about, for me, I love the fact that you take the bumps and bruises that come with life, the ups and downs, the waves. But again, realizing, you know what I'm saying, that, I got to take my accountability and responsibility and keep forward, onward, and upward. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I respect that and salute that. So
thank you.
Yeah,
likewise,
man.
bro. Like you said, we don't. Life is like a game, right?
Right.
We don't choose how we enter the game, right?
Right.
The factors, the things that we're given, right from the jump.
Right.
But once you come to a fully developed like realization of that, that's when it's like, all right, what we gonna do?
Yep.
I remember like one time, I had a manager and I would get frustrated with music where I was at currently, just even the state of the music game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's
politics.
like, yeah, bro, he was real blunt. Like, all right, this is what it is. What you gonna do?
Right.
Like they say, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it is. And the only way, even if you don't like the current direction of rap music, hip hop culture, what are you gonna do?
What you gonna do about
Because talking about it is not gonna change it.
it? What
Now,
you gonna do about it?
I'm a firm believer in, like, you want to change something, the best way is to put yourself in position to be the change or enforce the changes you want to see.
That's right.
But I mean, besides that, I'm just not the type of person who you're gonna see me venting on social media,
Right.
complaining because
Point your finger.
yeah,
Like,
we all know what the problems are. If
Right.
they are a problem to you, let me say that.
That
Some
part.
people have no problem with
That's
the way
right.
things are. But
That's
if
right.
you have an issue, what you gonna do, man? Like, it is what it is.
what you gonna do about
Yeah,
it?
we
That's
got
it. And that's what we see on the playing field. It's like, all right, because that's what I'm about. It's always, I don't care. Everybody who knows me knows it's always been about the work. Your word works in deeds, like Noble Drew Ali said. It's always been about the work for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, quality, integrity is everything. You like, and when you implement that, and when you make that your nodal point, when you make that your you know what I'm saying, your compass, you're not gonna lose. You know what I'm saying? There's no such thing as loss. You're just gonna learn. You're gonna learn as you level up. You know, you learn as you level up, man. There's no losses. You know, you just improve. And actually, you need the stress. You need the pressure to
Even-
become the version of yourself that you need to be in the environment, in the conditions that you're in.
Like even what occurred recently, you know, with the store.
Right.
You know, it's times I've encountered a lot, right? Not even just
Factual.
the store, just in life, right? We all have. But there was a time where I wouldn't speak out about anything I was going through. I
Right.
just internalize it. I might put it in my music, but what I realize is, like, you know, with music, I have a platform, whether it's people following me. So it's like, I want to share these things so that the next person, the next young person coming up who thinks they want to get into this lifestyle or follow a similar path
Right.
knows what they may possibly experience.
Yeah, got to deal with it. Come with
Yeah,
the terrain. You
it's-
said it
it's
earlier.
everything.
It comes with the terrain. You got to know the terrain. You got to know the schematic of the playing field. You know, I mean, unfortunately, hip hop. Let me break it down like this. Like, unfortunately, in hip hop, like you said, shout out to Red Pillar too. You know, Hunger Games. Y'all got a record exclusive that's coming out. But you say, you know, Hunger Games. You know what I'm saying? It comes from them hunger pains. You know, like when you're in the projects or you're in the apartments or you're in a dire situation, you know, and the only way you can get out is through your gifts or the resources that you got, whether it may be rapping or playing ball or maybe something through academics. It don't matter. Boxing, it don't matter. That's the way you're gonna go. So a lot of these youth, a lot of these youngsters, they are talented, and that their way out, if they didn't make it out, it was already over for them. It was already no going back. You know, that was really their death. They already died to live. You know, so it's like a lot of these youngsters, like, I'm gonna die anywhere in these streets. I might as well leave infamously. I might as well have a name for myself or be known. And we know in society it's here today, gone tomorrow, because the attention span is so short. But this is a mindset or an intrusive mindset that comes in and it plants itself. Right? It's a bad seed. You see? But yeah, you know, there's a high responsibility for us to really explain what's going on sonically and energetically, you know, because now more than ever, especially with 50 years of hip hop, you know, the lens is on the culture like ever because the world is influenced by us, you know. And we have to really piece together, because I'm a dot connector. I connect these dots, you know, I connect people, but it's about the dot connecting so we can be holistic and move optimally. So yeah, man, thank you for joining us tonight, man. Before we wrap up, you know, we're gonna see if Noah got anything he want to let the people know, any announcements, any events coming up, how the people to tap in with you, and, you know, just closing thoughts, brother.
Yeah, man. Follow me at Charged Up Noah-O on all social media platforms, YouTube /ChargedUpBNT, ChargedUpBNT.com. Richmond Brave album is out now, man, and y'all stay tuned. Heretic is coming soon. Charged Up Contra Records. Yeah, man, just tap in with the movement. You can support us. You in the Richmond, VA area, stop by the Charged Up flagship store, 106 West Broad Street, and thank you for having me, bro.
Absolutely, man. Hey, look, Richmond Brave. Be sure to stream that. Stream all Noah-O on all streaming platforms. Hey, family, thank y'all for joining us this evening for episode 1 of Control the Narrative. Again, I'm your host, Sir Bey. Until we meet again, we speak again, see each other again. Shalom, peace, blessings. Much love to my brother Noah-O.
Thank you, bro.
Cheer. We out.
Peace.
Peace.
Did it record?
I hit stop recording.
It did.
I just hit stop
Oh.
recording. Yeah. All right, what be at? Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. This shit is work.
Yeah, my fault, man. I thought we was done. But I just wanted to see the spot. I wanted to introduce you to my dude, the dude that let you in and stuff.
Yeah. One of my niggas, I knew he, one of my the guy with the dreads. I know him, but I didn't know the other guys. But we got to talk and shit. I got to hear the sound system. That shit is smoother, bro.
Oh,
I
so
want to see if I could get
so you did see
my
it.
guys
So you got to see it.
Yeah, I got to see it. Hell yeah, that don't full. I want to see if I could get my guys Trans Lee and Greg to do a show out this joint that I'm working with, man, out in Atlanta.
Yeah, he's just starting to put, get people in here doing their radio shows like Skills is starting to do a much.
Hey, tell B to come in here so make sure we got the feed.
Yeah, it's just getting up and running and stuff. He actually did my story too. Yeah, this is who did my story.
Here. Yes, sir.
I think it was OBS.
What's that mean?
Like, I think the recording.
It ain't doing any tape.
Right. I think it was just like, no, it would be fine.
Oh, I just hit. I didn't know if I was what I was supposed to hit. I just motherfucking just. Yeah, I mean.